Once upon a time, there was a poor woodcutter and his wife, and they had 7 children, all of them boys. The youngest wasn't quite 7 years old, and when he was born, he was scarcely bigger than a thumb. That's why he was called Hop-o'-my-Thumb. Now, this had been a bad year because the harvest had failed and there wasn't enough to eat. These poor but good people didn't know how to feed their children and decided they'd have to get rid of them. One evening, when the children were asleep, the woodcutter said to his wife,
"You can see for yourself we can no longer keep them.
Oh.
I have decided tomorrow we must go into the forest and lose them.
Oh.
It should be quite easy. While they're busy finding wood, we must slip away when they're not looking.
Oh, to think that we should have to lose our own children.
If we don't, you'll have to watch them die of hunger under your very eyes."
Husband, you're right. Oh, what misery poverty has brought us.
From his bed, Hop heard his parents discussing things, so he slipped out and hid under his father's stool where he could hear even better and without being seen. When he got back to his bed, he couldn't sleep and kept thinking about what he'd just heard. In the morning, he got up early and made his way to the edge of the stream that ran near his home, and there he filled his pockets with small white pebbles. He came back home just in time to hear his father call out,
"Get up, my lads. We're going to the woods to cut some trees and get some logs and sticks."
They went into the thickest part of the forest, so thick that it was difficult to see properly. The woodcutter began chopping trees while the boys collected logs and faggots. The parents, seeing the children were busy, quietly moved off and eventually found a path that took them home. As soon as they saw themselves alone, the boys began to cry with all their might.
Mommy, I'm frightened!
Hop was quite sure of himself.
"My brothers, don't be frightened. I'll lead you home. Follow me."
All the way into the forest, he had dropped the little white pebbles that were in his pocket, and by following them, he was able to find his parents' cottage. When the woodcutter got home, he found that the lord of the manor had sent him 10 sovereigns, which he'd owed the woodcutter for a long time.
Oh, William, you're a monster. Now we find we have enough money to keep us all. I told you you'd regret the dreadful thing you've done.
Told me? Told me? First you agree, and then you told me.
My poor children, what can they be doing now? I expect the wolves have already eaten them up.
Here we are! Here we are! Here we are!
The woodcutter, who was in fact as unhappy as his wife, rushed to open the door, and as they burst in, took all 7 into his arms at the same time.
"Oh, you little scamps! How did you manage to get home? Oh, sit down and have a nice meal, all of you. Oh, my wife, give me a kiss."
As long as the 10 sovereigns lasted, they were very happy. But when the money was all gone, they decided once more to try and lose the children. Again, Hop heard what they were saying and prepared to go and get some pebbles. But this time the door was barred and bolted, and he was unable to get out.
I mustn't let this worry me. I'll soon think of something else. Got it. I won't eat any of my bread at breakfast time. I'll break it into crumbs, and they can mark our way just like the pebbles did.
This time, the parents took the boys even further than they'd taken them the first time, to a darker and deeper part of the forest, and left them there. Once they were on their own, Hop had no fears, thanks to the crumbs that he dropped on the way out. But, unfortunately, the birds had come and eaten them all up. So Hop climbed up a tall tree, and in the distance he could see a small light like a candle. He got down from the tree and started to lead his brothers in the direction of the light. They walked for a very long time, until at last they arrived at the house where Hop had seen the candle. They knocked at the door, and a good old woman opened it to them.
Oh, my poor little lambs, where have you come to? And this is the house of a giant who likes to eat little children.
Mom, if you send us away, it'll be the wolves who'll eat us up. Perhaps your husband might have a little pity on us.
Come inside quickly and hide yourselves under the bed. And don't make the slightest noise. If he finds you, he's quite capable of eating me up too.
They'd scarcely got into the house when they heard 3 or 4 massive knocks on the door. It was the giant. He came into the house and began sniffing everywhere.
Ah, I smell fresh meat.
That must be some veal I've been preparing.
No. I tell you, I smell fresh meat. There's something going on here that I don't understand.
He made straight for the bed, and there he found the 7 little boys all shaking with terror.
So this is the way you try and deceive me, woman.
Oh, there's no need for you to eat them this evening, is there? You've got plenty of meat tonight. Look, there's a calf, 2 sheep, as well as half a pig.
Uh-huh. My goodness, you're right. But so they won't get too thin, give them something to eat and put them to bed.
Now the giant had 7 daughters, who all slept together in a great bed. Each wore a crown of gold. In the same room there was another bed, just as large, and it was in this bed that the giant's wife put the boys. They all fell asleep immediately, except for Hop.
I'm wondering if the giant might change his mind and come in to kill us in the night. Know what I'll do? Just in case.
He took off the little hat he always wore, as well as the hats his brothers wore, and put them onto the heads of the 7 little giantesses, having first taken off their golden crowns. These he then put on his brothers' heads and on his own. Just before dawn, the giant got up and took out his large knife.
Let's go and see how our charming little visitors are getting on.
In the darkness, he approached the bed where the 7 little boys were sleeping. But as he groped for their heads, he felt the golden crowns.
My, I nearly did the wrong thing there. I must have drunk too much last night. I'll come back again when it's light.
As soon as the giant had left the room, Hop woke up his brothers. They climbed out of a window and ran off as fast as their legs could carry them. They'd already covered many miles when suddenly they heard the earth trembling. It was the giant. When he found they were missing, followed them, wearing magic boots that could cover 7 leagues in a single stride. Quickly, the 7 little boys hid behind a large rock where the giant couldn't see them.
Very practical, these 7 lead boots, but rather tiring on the feet. I think I'll stretch out for a moment.
He fell asleep on the very rock behind which the children were hiding, and soon he began to snore tremendously. Hop jumped from his hiding place and tugged the boots off the sleeping giant, and as they were magic, put them on himself.
Brothers, run home as quickly as you can. I'll join you later.
Hop set off for the giant's house, which he soon reached thanks to the 7-league boots. The giant's wife was most surprised to see him.
Mom, we must be quick. Your husband's been captured by a band of robbers, and they've sworn to kill him if he doesn't give them all his silver and gold. He's given me his 7-league boots so I could get to you quickly, and so you can see for yourself I've come from him.
The giant's wife gave him all she possessed because she loved her husband very dearly, even if he did like to eat little children. Hop ran off with great strides of 7 leagues right to his parents' cottage, only to find his brothers had just got home. And thanks to the giant's money, there was never again any question of losing Hop-o'-my-Thumb and his 6 brothers in the forest.